The loudest applause was for the countries that have overthrown democracy.
Now, you see, this one, I'm very glad that His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, aside putting out the causes, he came out with how we can renew democracy. Because if we come out with the problem and we don't find solution to it, you and I will agree that, ladies and gentlemen, in all these, democracy cannot survive by itself if we don't work for it.
A soldier without political education or ideological training is a potential criminal. The same is true.
Democracy Dialogue 2025 was held yesterday, and the theme was Democracy is Dying. His Excellency John Dramani Mahama took us through the causes of democracy dying and how to renew democracy.
It is our privilege and honor to host the 2025 Democracy Dialogue. And we owe a debt of gratitude to President Goodluck Jonathan, who has been a towering pillar and whose life embodies the struggle for democracy, peace, and progress in Africa. And through this dialogue, he continues to remind us that democracy is not self-sustaining. It must be nurtured and defended. And I wish to thank all the important people who have come, President Olusegun Obasanjo, Peter Obi, and I mean too many to mention, to lend your presence to this all-important dialogue.
Throughout the speech, something caught my attention, and he stated that, if you remember clearly, during his inauguration, presidents that came to him to congratulate him, it looks like the loudest applause went to the country with military governance.
For those who attended my inauguration, if you were not on the Black Star Square, and we had locked you in a room, and you could hear the announcement of the acknowledgement of the presidents who were coming up to greet me, you'd have noticed that the loudest applause was for the countries that have overthrown democracy and are under military dictatorship. That should give us a pause for thought. That should make us think. And that should make us ask ourselves questions about why democracies die. And that's why the topic of today is relevant. What are the things we need to do to sustain democracy? Democracy will not survive by itself if we don't work for it.
And there was a time where questions went out, and the question was between military governance and democracy governance, which one will you go for? And it looks like the youth, most of the youth went for military governance. And according to him, this should, keep us thinking. This should give us a lot of questions.
All the Afrobarometer surveys and all the other surveys they did, and in many of these surveys, they added the question, do you prefer democratic government or would you support a coup d'etat? And it was frightening to notice that a lot of our young people said they would prefer to live under a military government. And so that should give us pause for thought.
Truly, myself, I kept thinking about this particular statement, and it has kept me thinking. But along the line, he sided with Omar Touré's statement that whatever system you go for, whether it is autocracy, whether it is democracy, whether it is theocracy, if it does not provide prosperity or opportunities to the people, it will not survive. And so, as part of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama's Better Ghana agenda, he is going to reset democracy. Also, he will reset the economy and also reset governance.
And like Omar Touré said, whatever system of government you have, autocracy, democracy, theocracy, whatever, if it does not deliver opportunities and prosperity to the people, it will not survive.
And that is why he has stated that people who are working in the public space, his people, should account to the people. And so if you are ready to serve, you need to be accountable to the people, because the people are tired of corruption. They are tired of misgovernance, and also they are tired of lack of opportunity.
I said that we need a reset of our democracy. We need a reset of our economy. We need a reset of our governance. We need to make our governance accountable. And that's why I say anybody who wants to serve in public office must be prepared to account to the people. The people are tired of the corruption. They are tired of misgovernance. They are tired of the lack of opportunity. And that is why, for those of us who believe in democracy, we must continue to take the advantage of dialogues like this to see what is wrong with our implementation of democracy, so that we can make a reset that makes the youth continue to have faith in democratic governance and not romanticize unconstitutional government.
And you and I will agree that ever since this government came into power, we are seeing this kind of changes. That there's been a reset of governance, there's been a reset of all these things. They're putting all these things in place to get the Better Ghana agenda. Now, let me take you straight to the causes of democracy dying. Now, number one is weak institutions that fails to protect the rights of the people. Number two, corruption and elite capture that removes the trust of the people, and also exploitation of the vulnerable.
My question is, why democracies fail and why democracies die? The first one is weak institutions that fail to protect the rights of the people. The second is corruption and elite capture that erodes the trust of the people in democratic governance. The third is exclusion and inequality that alienate portions of the citizenry. The fourth is leadership deficits that squander legitimacy of governments. And the fifth is external pressures that exploit the vulnerability in democratic systems. And so, to renew democracy, we must do certain things.
Now, you see, this one, I'm very glad that His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, as I putting out the causes, he came out with how we can renew democracy. Because if we come out with the problem and we don't find solution to it, you and I will agree that it doesn't make any sense. And so I'm so glad that His Excellency, as he is putting out the causes, the solutions to are coming. And like I said, in this 9 months of government, we are seeing some kind of changes. And so now he said that to renew democracy, he's going to strengthen institutions like parliament, independent government, and electoral bodies.
To renew democracy, we must do certain things. Of course, the first one is that we must strengthen institutions, independent courts, parliaments, and our electoral bodies. The third, we must educate our citizens. For us, Thomas Sankara said, and I quote, he said, "A soldier without political education or ideological training is a potential criminal." The same is true of leadership without ethical grounding. The fourth, we must protect media and civic space. A free press is democracy's immune system. We must also build regional solidarity, because the fall of democracy in one nation weakens democracy in all other nations.
And you and I will agree that to solve every problem, it has to start from the top. And so I'm glad that it is going to start from the parliament, the independent courts, and the electoral bodies. You and I will agree. Now, the next one is to deliver development, because democracy without developments like roads, schools, hospitals, and jobs will always be at risk.
The second is that we must deliver development, because democracy without development, democracy without roads, democracy without schools, hospitals, and jobs will always be at risk.
And you can tell that sometimes on social media, people come out and they are talking about how we have bad roads, how we have problem with our health sectors and all that. And as we are practicing the democracy, which is freedom of speech, people intend to put out hate speech and all that. And so we are going to, if those things are fixed, we will not have those things running on our social media in the name of new media.
We must protect media and civic space. A free press is democracy's immune system. We must also build regional solidarity because the fall of democracy in one nation weakens democracy in all other nations.
Yes, because His Excellency John Dramani Mahama stated that that sector, we are going to talk about it properly as part of the democracy, renewing democracy. Now, let me take you to the next one. He's also mentioned that educate our citizens. And I think this one is also very, very important. We need to educate our citizens. And I think it has to start from, like I said, the upper side down to our schools. And as the new media, we projecting new media, we should also use those platforms to educate people. You don't come and sit on, how do you call it, in front of your camera and be using hate speech because your government is not in power. So you come and then you state that somebody has sent you messages that doctors have not been paid. So you come and then without making any kind of proper checks. I think you can use your platform to educate people. You go and make your checks and then you come and then you educate them.
The third, we must educate our citizens. For us, Thomas Sankara said, and I quote, he said, a soldier without political education or ideological training is a potential criminal. The same is true of leadership without ethical grounding.
That is how we can renew our democracy, not to sit in front of our cameras and then use hate speech here and there. You get my point? Now, let me move on to the next one. He also stated that protect media and civic split. I beg your pardon. Civic space. Yes. So he mentioned that the media is the immune system of government. You know, the media passes on information to the people. And so if they don't protect that area, it becomes a problem. And so we need to do that. And then also regional solidarity.
We must protect media and civic space. A free press is democracy's immune system. We must also build regional solidarity because the fall of democracy in one nation weakens democracy in all other nations.
Ladies and gentlemen, in all these, democracy cannot survive by itself if we don't work for it. And it has to be every day. It has to be every day. These courses that I mentioned early on, it's not just something that we need to look at it and then pass on like that. It is a warning to us that we need to take these solutions and then work on it. Now, democracy can be renewed when citizens rise and defend it. It is all of us. It is all of us, not just the president and his people, but all of us. We need to be tolerant. It is true that as part of democracy is freedom of speech. It doesn't mean that we should be adding hate speech and all that in the name of new media. Me, that is my main concern. And so let's take note of this and then work on it. This is what I'm going to end with you.